Hey everybody, welcome to the BabyLock Ovation Serger Manual. Today what I want to do is finish up page 24. I've already showed you how to use the needle threader that comes with the machine, and at the bottom of the page there's a cutting blade. All right. On the bottom of page 24 there is a cutting blade cover seam guide, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about that. It's kind of a cool thing to have, and I just want to kind of explain to you how it works. On the cutting blade cover, there's a little sticker that has some lines with a left and right, or L and R, marked on it. And you can see that there's lines that are 1/8 of an inch apart. And if you need proof that they're 1/8 of an inch apart, I'm just going to put my ruler right there. And you can see that the lines on the sticker line up with the grid on my clear ruler. So these are 1/8 of an inch apart. So what that's going to tell us is it's going to tell us how far we have to put the edge of our fabric and cut it off to get a certain seam allowance. All right, so let me explain to you how this works. The L and R referred to the left and right needle. So if you're using the left needle, let's say you're doing a 5-thread safety stitch, or even if you're just doing a 4-thread, whatever it is, if you're using both needles, the distance between that left needle out here and this mark that's labeled L is going to be a 5/8 inch seam allowance. All right, so if I'm using the left needle and I'm putting the edge of my fabric right under that mark that's labeled L, I'm going to end up with a 5/8 inch seam allowance. And to show you how this works, what I've done is I've marked my 5/8 inch seam allowance with a pen, and I've lined my fabric up so that it's right with the L. Okay, and watch what happens as I stitch. All right, you can see that that left needle is right on the line I drew. As a matter of fact, it's perfect. You can't even see it, but it's lined right up with that 5/8. I did screw up a little bit on the end there. I didn't have it over quite far enough, but that's how you can get a perfect 5/8. Now, let's say you wanted to do a 1/2 inch. Now, you wouldn't be drawing these lines on your garment. I'm just using them to show you how this works. This time, I'm going to line up the edge of my fabric with this mark that's directly to the left of the L. That means it's 1/8 of an inch closer to the left needle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that right there. I'm going to line it up, and that's going to give me a perfect 1/2 inch seam allowance. Watch. And all I really have to worry about is the fact that this edge is lining right up with this mark. That's all you have to pay attention to. Okay, and again, I got almost a perfect 1/2 inch. You can see that I varied a little bit right there, but that's pretty darn close. Okay, and I'm just using the lines on this stitch guide. Kind of cool. All right, so if this line to the left of L gives you 1/2 inch, then if you're on L, that's 5/8. If you're using your left needle and you use the R line, that's 3/4. And then the one next to R would be 7/8. And this last line over here would give you an inch allowance. So just know that you can customize your seam allowance with this guide. Now, the reason why that R is marked here is that there's 1/8 of an inch difference between the tips of the left and right needle. So if I were to take out the left needle, which let me just do that. Now, if I want to have a 5/8 inch seam allowance, I have to line my fabric up with the R because I'm using the right needle. So let me show you how that looks. I'm going to line up my edge of my fabric with the R, and then watch how I'm going to get that 5/8. Notice we're going to be cutting a lot more off. If you're only using the the right needle, you're doing a narrow hem. So to get the 5/8 inch seam allowance, we're going to have to cut off significantly more than if we were using the left needle, an 1/8 inch more. All right, so again, I'm just keeping this even with the R. All right, so you can see I wasn't quite as neat on that one, but you can see I got pretty darn close. All right, so that's how you use the stitch guide that's on the cutting blade cover. If you have any questions about that, please post them below, or you can visit my blog at J Stern Designs. And coming up next, we are going to be working on another fun topic. And I don't have my list in front of me, so you'll have to wait and see. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.